Once again, a very good morning to all the audiences. And let me start off by thanking my previous speakers, Kailash Bhai Murarka, as well as Mr. Anand, for their very insightful and very inspiring welcome address and welcome note. And a warm welcome to my panelists here. I am indeed very lucky to have a wonderful panel here representing three different industries. I have with me Mr. Deepak Chabra representing Tupperware. I have with me Mr. Sanjay Kapote representing Manjushri Technopack Packaging. And of course, my dear friend Vasant Kamath representing Brose Automotive. As the name says, he's from the automotive industry. While we have this practice of introducing our speakers through a formal reading of the profile, I prefer not to do that. I would rather introduce my speakers based on my interaction with them. Let me start off with Sanjay. My acquaintance with Sanjay is not that old. I have started knowing him very recently. Let me be honest on that. And he's a fine gentleman, leading a very wonderful company, very forward thinking company. And that is what Sanjay brings to the table. It is his vision, his progressive outlook, because he works with the packaging industry, and that is something that touches our lives on a daily basis. Even a while ago, when I was having a quick breakfast, I was having something packed, and it reminded me that I'm going to talk to Sanjay today. And probably this packaging was done by Sanjay's company. So thank you so much, Sanjay. We have it is our pleasure and privilege to have you on board. Let me now come to Mr. Deepak Chabra. Well, if you come to my kitchen someday, Deepak, you will see why I'm a big fan of yours and of your organization, because 80 to 90% of the objects that we have in our kitchen are from your organization, and they're wonderful products that you make. But what is more wonderful is the fact that you guys believe in women empowerment, and without making a big noise about it. Usually when people do something about women empowerment, they go gaga about it, but you guys are doing it very quietly and very subtly, and at the same time very effectively, and that is why my respect for you and your organization goes a notch up. And of course, let me welcome my dear friend Vasant. I have known Vasant for almost 8 to 10 years now. He's a classic example of how a person can reach the heights of success through sheer hard work, sincerity, and passion. And of course, his knowledge about the automotive industry is something that really sets him apart. So it's going to be a wonderful session with these three wonderful gentlemen joining me here. We've been talking about disruptions. They're here to stay, whether we spoke about the economic disruption that we have faced over the last few years, or the recent one, of course, without naming it, what I call it, the mighty C. So these disruptions are here to stay. How does a leader prepare his organization to deal with these disruptions while they are still happening, and also prepare the organization for the future times when you could expect these disruptions to come anytime, because as the word says, it can happen anytime. It doesn't have a time frame, it doesn't have any cycle to it. So let me start off this question with Mr. Deepak Chabra. Deepak, how do you look at disruptions as a leader?
Thanks, Niranjan. And first of all, good morning, everyone, and pleasure to be on this panel. Uh, so, previously we used to say innovation is something which you should do sometimes, but I think innovation is the key. So, whether pandemic or no pandemic, whether crisis or no crisis, innovation is the key to prepare your organization at all times. We live in a VUCA world where change is the only constant. So if you are not innovating almost on everyday basis and creating that culture within your organization, you are going to be in trouble. So that's one. Innovation, constant innovation is one. Second is you should have an organization which is nimble, and very agile. So if you have agility and you are nimble, I think you can tide over any crisis, current or future. And talking about when you actually hit a crisis, then there are a lot of things which have to be done. One is, you have to assess the extent of crisis. You have to be very clear and constant in your communication, and you have to create a pride of co-creation within your teams to come out of come with some innovative ideas and with agility to come out of a crisis. I think these are the things which as an organization you need to be uh, tiding over a crisis and being prepared for the future, because the crises are not going to end. Pandemic is not the only one which has come. There'll be a lot of crises which will come, and you have to be agile, you have to be nimble, and you have to have innovation in your DNA.
Super. That actually reminds me of a great martial artist called Mr. Bruce Lee. So I happened to see one of his interviews, and he exactly referred to these qualities, flexibility, agility, nimbleness, and innovative. He actually used the word creativity there, that you have to be creative, you have to be nimble, and you have to be agile to understand from where the next attack is going to come and preempt that attack and work accordingly. So I think this is what we all need to do today. Sanjay, I'll be coming to you. Do you think this pandemic has been the toughest test for leadership? And if yes, how do you deal with a situation like this, and how do you prepare for the next one?
Thanks a lot, Niranjan, and thanks for having me on the panel. So
Pleasure.
coming back to the questions is how the leadership reacts. I think this is the pandemic which has taught us many things, the many lessons of life. Nobody was thinking sitting in January, February that this is something can happen with us in India. Everybody was thinking it's a China problem and then it's a Europe problem. And when it started hitting India somewhere in March, and then everybody was like, so as a leader, we need to see that if something can happen like that scale of a pandemic to any country, it could happen to anybody. But as Deepak rightly said, it's not about pandemic, how the leadership prepares themselves for the big challenges. It could be the market disruption, it could be the unseen natural crisis, or anything for that matter. So leadership is one where we stand with the people at the time of difficulties. We are to be flexible, as Deepak rightly pointed out, that how lean you are, how agile you are in the crisis situation, and that is what leadership is all about. But this pandemic has taught us that your people are your assets, and you have to be with them to give them constant confidence that we are not going away. It's a passing phase, and it shall pass. And how we come out of it, the one who will stand out and come out of it will fly with the flying colors. There was no doubt in at least my mind when this started hitting us. Actually, in the first 2 weeks only, we got together as a management team, leadership team, and thought how can we take opportunities, how can see opportunities in these problems, can we acquire a couple of more companies which can be targets for us. So this is where the leadership should come, is a fourth, looking forward looking, and give that confidence to people that we are here to stay, and pandemic is there to go. That's my take on Niranjan.
Superb. I really like this thought about turning the crisis into an opportunity. You acquired a few companies in this period, and you actually added to the growth of the organization. Vasant, I'll be coming to you. We all know that the automotive industry was going through one of its worst phase before the COVID pandemic hit us, and here we are in the month of August, September, October, and even in the month of November, the automotive sales numbers are on a rise. So, do you think this pandemic has actually given a window of growth to the automotive industry?
So I think, thank you, Niranjan. Question. I think the pandemic, I would not say has given growth to the automotive industry, but I think it has certainly given an opportunity, especially when people think about personal mobility and personal safety. I think that is why we see a large rise in the number of new registrations, whether it is four-wheelers or whether it is two-wheelers, and people are more concerned about their safety. I think one of the mega trends that was in the automotive industry was shared mobility, but this pandemic has brought about something where people are rethinking that, am I really safe if I go in for this shared mobility? And the thought has changed a little bit towards personal mobility. And I think this is the reason why we are seeing a rise in the number of new registrations right now. And I believe that this will continue for a while. but there will be some coexistence between shared mobility and mobility.
Okay, thank you, Vasant, for that quick and very insightful answer. One of the better things that has come out due to this forced crisis is the acceleration towards digital transformation that most organizations have undertaken. Gentlemen, do you think that this pandemic has actually helped us move towards a better digital industry, a better digitalization format to go ahead and be prepared for the next one in a way? Let me start off with Sanjay.
Yeah, absolutely. Because nobody was aware of many of the tools which happens on online meetings, and the pandemic has taught us that how physically you don't need to be together, and you can still get business done. So that was the biggest thing is the e-meeting and likes of Teams and Zoom calls has really helped us that if you're anywhere you can get connected. Second, I would say in general, not specific to our industry, but the payment terms. If you go to a even small shops now, you can pay them digitally, even if it's a small 100 rupees, 50 rupees, 15 rupees payments can do digitally. So that's a big transformational things that happen in the pandemic. And that has also social distancing is another thing that in a factory, how can we have the smart factories or a no man factory where social distancing itself is taken care of. We can have the robotics or we can have the IoTs of the things or industry 4.0, which can get connected. And the automation is the digitization and automation is the new mantra, wherein, you operate the factory, it becomes leaner and it's also becomes safer.
Okay. Thank you, Sanjay. Vasant, I'd like to take this question to you now with regards to digital transformation. How has been the journey at Brose particularly, and how is the overall automotive industry looking at? It has been one of the first adopters of digitalization. So, has the pandemic kind of added to that pace?
Absolutely, Niranjan. I think the amount of acceleration that the pandemic has given to the digitalization has been just phenomenal. Because, as you know, the auto industry is more of a manufacturing based industry where the transformation was happening at a very slow pace. And even things like work from home was being done at a very restricted level. But overnight, I think companies had to adapt. Overnight, companies had to see how they could carry on their business with people not being able to come into the office. And this has definitely accelerated the work from home. The things that we previously thought were not possible to do through distributed teams, are now made possible. Also, this has given a big boost to also the video calling. So, for example, today nobody said. I mean, a lot of people don't say, "I'll make a video call with you." They will say, "I'll have a Zoom call with you." So this thing was previously quite unheard of, in the auto industry, where a lot of people would say, "I will have a Zoom call with you." People would set up an elaborate system to do video conferencing and video calls and so on. But today you can do that with your phones, with your computers, and people are able to collaborate in this distributed environment. So definitely, I would say that the pandemic has brought about a huge amount of acceleration into this entire digitization of the working style within the industry.
Thank you, Vasant. Deepak, I know for sure that Tupperware has taken up a very aggressive digitalization program. Ultimately, your product is very physical in nature. You have to reach out to your customers and they have to use it very physically. However, you have actually looked at this pandemic and crisis as a kind of an opportunity to, in fact, even enhance your online presence and reach out to your customers. Please share a few insights with us on this.
Sure, Niranjan. I think digitization is something which should have been done much earlier. Not We should not have waited for the pandemic to happen, because this is not the future. This is the present. And normally, as a brand or as an industry, we look for ROIs and immediate ROIs, so we don't invest in it. What pandemic has done is it has forced us to invest in it. Coming specific to Tupperware, I think we are B2C, we are consumer facing as a brand. So for us, digitization is threefold. One is how do we sell to the consumer? Second is how do we communicate to our trade partners and the consumers? And third is how do we operate as an organization? So biggest change which has happened in Ranjan is on the first one. How do we sell? Previously we used to say, I've grown at the time when we used to say customer service, and then we heard customer delight. I think today is the time when it is customer experience. So customer experience will come when you offer them the right products at the right value and the way they want to buy. So being a part of direct selling industry, we were largely selling through one-on-one, which is, reference model. We have 70,000 women who are spread across the country who sell the products through demonstration in their circle of influence. And then the reach becomes a bit prohibitive. You need at least about 1 million partners, sellers to cover even half of India. And consumer was consuming differently for quite some time. From about 5 years when the e-commerce and retail started, they were consuming in different ways. They were buying from brick and mortar, they were buying from online and getting delivered the next day morning. So what we did is that we worked on this. We started selling on e-commerce, which are marketplaces, which are Amazon, Flipkart, and so. We started having our own web store from where a consumer can buy directly. And the biggest thing which we did, Niranjan, with a lot of pride, I would love to share, when the pandemic hit us, as I said, the whole model of selling was basis your personal interaction of these 70,000 women with their circle of influence, your colleagues, neighbors, friends, family, references. Now with the pandemic, you are not even meeting your family. So how are you going to sell? So what we did very quickly in 4 weeks' time, we started something called social selling. Social selling is we are the first company to actually do it in our industry. How it works is all these 70,000 women, their livelihood was at a stake because they can't move out, they can't sell. So we created a specific URL for each of these 70,000 women, and we created a lot of product content, demonstration, and pricing. And they simply pushed it through social media handles or WhatsApp and sent to their friends, family, and everybody else. Now, as a consumer, they simply click it and they land on our website, and they can shop as an e-commerce. And our systems, by digitization, can know who is the referrer, who is the because everybody has a unique URL. So consumer gets delivered the products directly from us, and our direct seller gets commission basis their URL. So now they don't have to move out of their home. They can still sell and sell to a wider set of consumers and not confined to a geography. Somebody sitting in Delhi can sell to Chennai, Chennai can sell to Ludhiana. So these have been our major initiative digitization on consumer facing. Secondly is a very strong, CRM tools, because now you can't communicate to your consumers in the same way. Every consumer is different. You have to bucket them and communicate with them. That's personalization. So a lot of work has happened on that. And thirdly, of course, how do we communicate with our sales force, the direct sellers, and the organization people? Of course, we are using all digital tools, whether it's Zoom, Hangouts, or anything else. So a lot of digitization happened, and it actually started sometime even before the pandemic. Social selling happened during the pandemic, but e-commerce, e-tailing has been happening for 2 years now.
Thank you, Deepak. That was indeed very insightful. You kind of turned the system completely to ensure that your sellers as well as your customers don't miss out on what they were getting before the pandemic. Talking about consumers, they are central to everything that we all do. Everything revolves around our customers. You spoke about that evolution. We started off with customer service, then we went to customer delight, and today it is about customer experience. And customers, whether they are B2C or whether they are B2B, today they are extremely demanding and they're extremely aware. You can't bluff around with them. They know what everything is all about. So Sanjay, my question to you here is that how has product innovation evolved to serve this new age customer who is completely aware of what he or she wants from the system today?
Yeah. So I think even before the pandemic, the moment of the customer innovation is something which is more so relevant in the difficult times, where we can understand the pulse of the customers, and customers, I my own experiences are becoming more vocal in the period of crisis, that this is what is troubling us. But to give few examples on the product innovations, like the Dettol bottle, which is the talk of the town nowadays because of COVID, used to be in the glass. Now that Dettol bottle got converted into PET, the consumer experience was totally different, because glass, when the kids are handling the transportations, and there are problems associated of carbon footprint with the glass, when it got converted to PET, and if PET is recyclable, it's a different experience for the customer. Same is for going forward. I think the e-commerce, I will talk more of a packaging side on this, the e-commerce, because e-commerce is becoming the new reality of the sales. How are we equipped to give the packaging which is e-commerce friendly, which is a spill proof, which is transportable, rough handling? So all those things are the innovations, and e-commerce packaging innovation has become more prominent in the pandemic time. So this is where I think we are focusing on, where we can give the experience to the end consumers and also value to the customers.
Thank you, Sanjay. Vasant, how do you look at product innovation? Because Deepak's products are different, Sanjay's products are different, and your product are completely different. The kind of audience that you address with your products are absolutely, you're addressing the OEMs who make the cars and the other vehicles. So how do you look at product innovation in that light? In fact, is there a scope of product innovation for a company like Brose? Because isn't it kind of demanded, or rather guided by what your customers want for their innovation?
I think innovation definitely is one of the main things that we have to focus on, because we need to make sure that we deliver something into the marketplace that people think is of value. So it is not necessarily relying strictly on what the customer wants, because here I have a little bit of the same philosophy that Steve Jobs had, which is when he started doing this iPhone, it did not start with the idea that people need a phone. It started with the idea that people want to have internet connectivity and access at their fingertips, and that's how the whole idea of the iPhone started. So I also believe very similarly that it all depends on what you can put into the marketplace that people will see as value and consumers will ultimately buy. And yes, I mean, the channel to get there for us is probably a little bit longer than it would be for a company like Tupperware, because this is something that has to go through the OEMs and then has to come to the end consumer and reach the end consumer, like what Deepak Ji's organization has, where it is faster to get to the consumer. So we do have a longer pipeline for that, but nevertheless, I think innovation is the lifeblood of our business, and we have to keep innovating, whether it is in terms of product, in terms of process, in terms of how we deliver product.
Thank you, Vasant. That was very insightful. It's going a step ahead and trying to understand what the customer would need even before the customer knows about it, and then serving his or her needs accordingly. Deepak, the theme of this event is Make in India with sustainability and innovation. We've spoken a lot about innovation so far, but sustainability is a very important piece in this entire puzzle today. Tupperware, we know that it's doing its bit in this regard already. So, how do you see sustainability going forward? Do you think customers are today quite aware of this fact, and do they give preference to products which they know are environment friendly?
No, absolutely, Niranjan. There is a larger awareness among consumers and concern for the environment, and they don't mind paying a bit more also for sustainable products. And that awareness is very high, and we have to be cognizant of that fact. Having said that, Even higher than that, important is, how does it impact me and my family's health? That also takes a consideration. And plastic has actually suffered because of low education on the material, rather than it being genuinely detrimental to the environment and the planet Earth. Talking about Tupperware, we have always been talking about sustainability for last 75 years. We have taken a lot of drives, differentiating between single-use plastic and durable plastic. How do we do it, Niranjan? Is one, we all our products come with lifetime warranty, which means you can write a will as you write for your home, and at any point in time, anybody in your family can come to our channel partners, our direct sellers, give the old product, take the new one, so it doesn't reach the landfills. Lifetime warranty, ensures that people bring it back to the company, and we reuse it, repurpose it, and it doesn't reach the landfills. So that's one. And what we do with what comes back is we reuse it and recycle it and make into non-food plastic products. Yeah, so very proudly we can share that about 99% of our products come back to us in over a period of time. So it doesn't reach a landfill. You'll never find the product reaching a landfill. And secondly, on sustainability is, we have become greedy over a period of time, and it is more to do with how do we use it and how we dispose it, and people didn't care. We didn't care for a very long time. So we are actually a solution to the plastic problem. The problem is when you use it day in, day out and throw it, we're saying every product of ours is usable and can last as long as your lifetime, 50, 60 years. So in that sense, we are contributing to the sustainability. And coming back to your question, yes, people are aware of it. They are cognizant of the fact that sustainable products they should buy, and they don't mind paying a bit more for those.
Thank you, Deepak. Vasant, I'd like to come to you. The way your industry looks at sustainability is a little different. I mean, you can look at, say, for example, lightweighting, which contributes to the energy efficiency of a vehicle. The lighter a vehicle is, it is going to be more energy efficient. So, how are the different ways and methods through which you ensure that your products are going to be sustainable?
So I think from manufacturing facilities to products, processes, people, I mean, sustainability is at the heart of everything we. And I think what we focus on, especially when we talk to our people, is really the three R's, which are reduce, reuse, recycle. And this is the ongoing thought process that we have in everything that we. Of course, there are a lot of new mandates that are also coming from some of our OEMs, so on, that they want to be carbon neutral by the year 2030, which means that we also have to think of not only our products, but also the way that our products are made, the way that our products reach EM. All these have to be carbon. So this is also, in a sense, driving a lot of innovation to have people think of, are there different materials I can. There's something that I can do through reducing, which is lightweighting, like you mentioned, which is also through recycled plastic, which is also. Is there something we can repurpose in terms of materials to the customer? So definitely, I think sustainability is the key thing for us going forward. And what we believe firmly is that there will be more OEMs, more and more customers that demand that things are carbon neutral. So this is not only something that was a nice to have like it has been so far, but I think going forward, that's definitely something to come up.
Thank you, Vasant. Sanjay, I kept this question for you at the last because I also wanted to understand what Manjushri is doing with regards to recyclability. Because the biggest problem to the environment that plastics is causing is the litter that is going to our oceans or rivers and other water resources. And a lot of time it is actually the packaging material which is reaching there. So, what is Manjushri doing in this regard, and how important is sustainability from a packaging manufacturer's point of view?
Absolutely. Thanks, Niranjan. Very, very important, because we are the one who will be the, either the beneficiary of this or the sufferer of the whatever the outcome of the plastic. There is a lot of negativity going on around plastic since last few years, that plastic is bad. And whenever I get an opportunity to meet with the government officials or the forums like this, I say plastic is absolutely the marvelous material in the 21st century we can have. We should have the plastic which reduces the carbon footprint compared with other type of material. The sustainable program is sustainable. A slight, different views on this. Sustainable program is sustainable if it creates value for your customers and it creates value for your end consumers. If consumer has to pay extra for environment, it could be a tricky one. I don't know. B2C, Deepak is in a more capable person to handle that question. But I would say if my sustainable program is sustainable in terms of value engineering, creating the value for customers and consumers, it's a different proposition. Then it's really a long term. For example, what Manjushri is doing is, we are very happy to tell you that in the midst of the pandemic, in the month of June, we opened our own recycling plant, and that has a capacity of processing 6,000 metric ton of polypropylene and SDP material, and it's a completely circular. In a way, we are supplying to the customers, all those Unilevers and Reckitt Benckiser's of the world, and every customer's MNC. We are a big supplier to them. So how do we have the circular economy? So we have tied up with some of the NGOs and some of the houses where a collection happens. We have given them a lot of training, so they collect, segregate, and then they give the material to us. We process at our plant, and it gets back to the bottle. Of course, currently the government is not allowing for food or pharma. Eventually, it will come as it has come in the European countries. So it becomes truly circular. But the material which I am putting back into the containers or the bottles, if it is at the price point wise higher than my virgin material, then my sustainability itself will be a questionable, that why a customer should pay more. If I can have the ecosystem around it, which is very efficient, very lean, where I can create value for everybody, I think that is where the program will become more sustainable.
That's indeed wonderful work that you guys are doing. I mean, you are directly contributing to the concept of circular economy. And as you said, that is something work in progress. Circular economy will happen eventually, because that is the only solution that we have for the plastics industry. The good news is that the industry is moving towards that direction. We've got about last 3-4 minutes left for this discussion, and I want to come to the first part of the theme. Make in India with sustainability and innovation. We have spoken about innovation, we have spoken about sustainability. Now, quickly, let's talk about the Make in India aspect. So our Honorable Prime Minister has been talking about creating a self-reliant Bharat, Atmanirbhar Bharat. What role do you think our industry or your specific industry segment is going to play with regards to this vision? Is my question. Let me start off with Vasant.
So I think Prime Minister has launched this new campaign, which I think is fantastic because it has given a lot of boost to deep localization. And when I say deep localization, what I mean is a lot of the companies in India were getting either tools made from outside or the raw material was coming from outside and so on. But this, in a way, has woken up the entire industry to rethink of how deep can I really go? You know, do I really need to import the raw material from outside of India? Do I really need to bring in things from outside India? And ultimately, I mean, India is a nation. So I think in terms of the consumers, there is no lack of consumers. The question is, how can we rely on ourselves to make sure that we are delivering something that our consumers. So I think this is the whole thing that the Atmanirbhar philosophy has launched. And I can assure you that in the entire automotive industry, people are thinking more and more on how we can be more self-reliant and deliver better products to our customers.
Thank you, Vasant. Deepak, Atmanirbhar also means having a very robust and self-sufficient manufacturing footprint within the country. I think Tupperware has already moved towards that. So, what are your thoughts on Atmanirbharta?
Sure, Niranjan. Self-reliant doesn't mean only make in India. It means much beyond it. So what we have done, we have contributed in three pieces. We are here in the country for 25 years. Right from day one, we have been manufacturing here. Right from day one. It's not now when Prime Minister Modi has started this campaign. We have been doing it for 25 years. And we have not only been manufacturing in India, we have been exporting from here to 30 countries all this while. We have a plant, world-class plant in Dehradun, which has a capacity of 15 million units production per year. We consume not even 40%, and the balance is exported. So we are not only contributing, being self-reliant, we are also bringing in a lot of, forex into the country. But as I said, self-reliance doesn't mean only making in India. It also means how you integrate a larger population into contributing to GDP. So about 40% of population is women who have been neglected for a long time. So we have been empowering them with a lot of pride. I would love to share. We have empowered about 2 million women in the last 25 years. And currently we have 70,000 women who work with us. And the third piece, which I was talking about, is also, if you have to be self-reliant, you have to be skilled. So we have been skilling people. All these 2 million women, they were household women, didn't know how to speak, didn't know how to, how to sell, didn't know how to carry themselves. We invest a lot of time, resources, and money in skilling, upskilling, and reskilling them. So that's what Tupperware has been doing. We have been making in India, not for India only, but we have been exporting. We have been empowering women who were neglected a lot for a very long time. And we have been skilling, upskilling, and reskilling them just to be part of the larger economy and contribute to the progress and growth of the country.
Thank you, Deepak. Sanjay, this one is now for you. What is Manjushri doing with regards to becoming more and more self-reliant and more Atmanirbhar? I know you have multiple manufacturing facilities across the country, and you have always been strong when it comes to your manufacturing capability and capacities. What more can a company like Manjushri do on this front?
Yeah. So I think Atmanirbhar, when government is saying, the Honorable Prime Minister is embarking on the journey of Atmanirbhar, it has a different, level, and it has a different meanings together. Because India is, I strongly believe, India is a consumption story. India is a growing middle class story, and India is going to grow where the consumption, inside consumption itself, is going to be very high. How do we participate into that and make that happen when the government support is there? The government support is very crucial. Why I'm saying that, the import duty, the overall structures, and how do they promote that? And this is where I think Atmanirbhar is going to be the big buzzword in the coming years. As far as Manjushri is concerned, I think we are the one of the examples I will give, the dispensing solutions. There is a big amount of import. One-tenth is only getting produced in India. 90% is getting imported from different countries, mainly China. And this is where during the pandemic, we decided to set up, a different two more plants for that and increase the capacity by 5 to 6 folds, knowing that this is where we will be very strong on. And this was the clue taken from the Prime Minister's speech when he said about the Atmanirbhar. So we are embarking on a journey where import should become zero by 2024, and we should become we are already a leader, but not compared with the China. So this is what Manjushri do. The another example on Atmanirbhar is the toy industry. The government is very forthcoming on that. The toy is the maximum import is happening, where Indian players can come forward and make those toys in India.
Thank you so much, Sanjay. And like Deepak said, it's not just about making for India; it's also for exporting to the other countries. And again, the other important point that you raised is creating import substitute products within the country, so that we stop that leakage of the Indian rupee going to the outside countries. So wonderful, gentlemen. It has been a pleasure and honor to host these three industry captains on our platform today. I would have definitely loved to carry on with this discussion, but our time is up, and it gives me the opportunity to thank you once again for being with me here. Just to summarize what we've discussed here today, it is very important for our industry to be flexible, to be agile, and to be ready for the next crisis if and when that happens. And at the same time, very important to focus on product innovation, customer delight, customer experience, as well as being sustainable and moving towards a circular economy. Thank you, gentlemen. Once again, I'll see you very soon once again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
you.
Thanks a lot, Neeraj.